Hi and welcome to my playhouse. Today we're gonna be building this Desulfator kit, which I am making available in the description below. This video is sponsored by JLC PCB. JCL PCB helps you to make your own PCBs. They have all the tools and you can go directly from making your own diagram and to making the finished PCB, which I have a couple of examples on here. It's really affordable, and I did a really long video where I did exactly that. So if you're interested in making your own PCBs, you should go and watch that video. Maybe look in the description. Years ago, I was messing around with restoring old batteries, and my cousins had both made a Desulfator because they were kind of doing the same thing. And I borrowed them and I showed it in a video. And ever since, people has been interested in, can I buy these Desulfators? Where can I find them? Where can I get them? Yeah, I didn't build these myself, so I couldn't really help them that much. But at some point I thought, well, we might just make that available. So I decided to make this little kit that you can kind of put together yourself. It's not very difficult. Everything is through-hole components to make it easier. It would have been very easy to make this an SMD, surface mounted devices, but put through components makes it way easier for everybody else to do it as well. So we're gonna be doing that. We're gonna make this out of this. So the kit will look like this when it arrives. It will have your name on it, and the envelope is gonna be closed like that. I am not closing it because I plan to reuse this envelope when I'm done recording this video. That's how cheap I am. So if we look in it, there's a description about what this is, what the package includes, and there is a link to this video. As I haven't recorded this video yet, I have just put in text here that insert video link here. But I'm gonna do that. The rest of it I have kind of done. There is what's in the kit. There's all the components. I've tried to make it really simple. I hope it's really simple. There's a little diagram to how to determine what capacity the different resistors are, but you can also kind of see it in the picture here, the different colors. On the back there's the diagram, there's a little picture of the circuit board, more or less just to remind everybody that this is minus and this is plus, and you have to put that in correctly. And there's a lot of other good stuff. So, but what else is in here? There's all the components, and they come out. And some of them are really tiny, so make sure that to check the back. That's it. And that one. That is it. So we're gonna mount this. We're gonna solder everything in place. And most of it's really simple to see where everything goes. But yeah, let's do this. For this, I'm gonna be using my good soldering iron, even though EEV Block has really, he has set back their marketing department a few years with his recent video on the Weller soldering iron, and for good reason, probably. But you can use more or less any soldering iron. I'm sure I would also be able to use this Ryobi portable soldering iron. I wouldn't have a problem with that whatsoever, and it would be able to do this tiny little project on a single battery, I am sure. I have the tiny little PCB here, and I actually have a really nice mounting device here, which makes this a lot easier when I'm gonna be filming this. So this is actually meant for this. I made this back in as part of my education. I'm actually educated in electronics. So let's put that in here and tighten that up. The good thing is that you have a little screw here, and you can just turn it around and you can fasten it and you can go to the other side. That's what it does. That's yeah. And I have my soldering tin right there, so that's rather handy. So when we do this, it's a good idea to start with the smallest components and work your way up from there. So let's check the components. We have some resistors. There should be 4 resistors in the package, and they should all be different sizes. So 1, 2, 3, 4 resistors, check. There is 2 coils or injectors. There is 2 of these electrolytic capacitors. There are 4 of these green capacitors. There is a MOSFET. There is a cable connection dude. There is another diode, and there is it's a 555 timer, and this is a fuse. It's a fuse that resets. It breaks the connection, and then later it will reset again. So the smallest component is this tiny little diode, and in my little help document you will find the diode here. It's an N14148 diode. It's a very regular diode, and that is well, it also says it here that diode, that's D2, and we find D2 on the circuit board. And yeah, there are multiple ways of putting in this. The diode, it's clearly marked with a black line. That's the negative leave. There is also kind of a line here on the circuit board. That means that the diode goes in that way, and that is important. If it goes in the other way, this will not work. So I'm just gonna do this. It doesn't need to be pretty. You could use these pointy thingies, and you could make really good looking connections. I'm just gonna do it the old way. Just we're just gonna put that down there and kind of try and put it in the middle, and then just bend the legs out a bit, and it's not gonna fall anyway. Then there is the 4 resistors. There is a 470 kilo ohm, there's a 22 kilo ohm, there's a 1.8 kilo ohm, and there's a 1 kilo ohm resistor. It says on the board which resistor goes where. This is my first board, and I made the mistake only putting in the right value for the 470 ohm resistor. The rest of them are all 22 kilo ohms. The drawing on the back of this, that's right. This will work. That's good. So 470 kilo, that has yellow in it. Yellow, purple, black, orange, brown. So we're gonna put that in. That is R1. And I'm gonna put it in the middle, and I'm gonna bend the legs out a little bit. So that's stuck. Then we need R2, 22 kilo. That has a lot of red in it. You can kind of see the color coding for resistors here. So 22 has 2 red lines, and a black and a red and a brown. So that goes in. That's R2. That one goes right beneath R1. Yeah. And we have 2 left. The next one is R3. That's the 1.8. I know that 8 is gray, so it has a brown, gray, black, brown, brown. So that goes in R3, and R3 is right there. And the last one is R4. That's the 1 kilo. It has a lot of brown. It has all brown and 2 black. So that goes up here. Resistors can go in both ways. It's just nice to put them in the same way so that you can read the color coding correctly. So, but doesn't matter. You can also use a multimeter and just measure out the resistance of the resistors to make sure that it's the right one. But there is the color coding, and there is also the picture of what the resistors look like. There, you should be able to use that. So now we're ready to solder them. Just gonna turn the board on to the other side, and yeah, I'm just gonna solder. It doesn't have to take that long. I'll just do that. Oops, that was really ugly. I didn't get that. all of them is soldered, and I have a piece of, what is that called? A thingy to cut the long leads off, so I'm gonna do that. That one got really ugly. We're just gonna try and fix that. There we are. The reason why you put on the smallest components is that, well, if there's a big component like this and you want to put in a tiny little resistor next to that, well, you get into some space restraints and you have to fight more for it. It can of course be done, but it's way easier to just start with the smallest components and go up from there. It doesn't look that bad. After that, there are these small capacitors that I want to put on. The tiniest one, the smallest one, which is called a 102J. That's a 1 nanofarad, and there is two that is called 103J. Those are 10 nano. And then there is this big other colored one, and that's well, the writing on it says 470. Yeah, this is a bad example. 473J. That is a 47 nanofarad, and they are on the paper here with the capacity and their name, and the C number is over here, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5 and C6. Some of them are these electrolytic capacitors, so be careful not to mix those two up. There's 47 microfarad and there is 47 nanofarad, and there is a difference. Be sure to take the nanofarad. The other ones are the electrolytic capacitors. So let's start with the smallest one. This is the 1 nanofarad capacitor. That goes in C2. That is also on the paper, of course. I should have made a little bit more spacing on here, but just wiggle it down, don't break it. Doesn't matter if it goes all the way down, but it matters if it doesn't break. And I'm just gonna bend the legs out ever so slightly. Then we have the two 10 nanofarad capacitors, and those are C5 and C6. C5 is just underneath that one. Also, it's a good idea to put the text so that it can be read. So that goes in there. Do the same thing, and C6 goes over there. And that goes nicely down. And the bigger one of them, that's C3, and this is where the legs are really, there's room for improvement there. C3 is up here, but you can kind of do the same thing, just slowly wiggle it down, don't break it. Doesn't matter if one leg sticks out a little bit to the side. Here we are. I'm gonna turn that around and I'm gonna solder that as well. There, I'm gonna cut off the leads. There, not a big problem. So let's continue. Now we have these components on. That's cool. So we can put this little tiny timer circuit on there. The little timer has a little dot on top of it, and the PCB has the same little dot. So match up those two dots, which also means that I can read the text from this side. Sometimes you need to bend the pins just ever so slightly. There. That's ready to be soldered. The order of the rest of the components are not that important, but let's get this tiny little electrolytic capacitor in there. This one is 47 microfarad and it's C1, that one. It matters because there is a plus and a minus on a capacitor like this, and there's a white line on the side here, that's the minus side. On here there's a white side upwards, that's where this white line goes, the minus side. And there's also a little positive note in the bottom of this to mark that that's where the positive lead goes, but it's easier with the white line with the little minus sign inside of it. So the capacitor goes in this way, like that. It's a tiny little capacitor. Then there is the other capacitor, which is ever so slightly bigger. It has the same white line, meaning that the leg that is just at the white line is the minus leg. This symbol up here is a little bit different. The white side with the lines, that's the minus side, so it goes in this side. You can also see the tiny little plus sign there, so it goes in like that. Can we get that down? Yeah, I need to turn this around for once. So to get this all the way down, I needed to move that a little bit. So now we can put this MOSFET on there. The back of it is metal, and there is kind of a line down here on the PCB, and that line means that the MOSFET goes this way. It goes towards the line, and you just bend the pins on the other side. Then there is this very big and beefy diode that goes up here. I'm just gonna bend that like that. I'm gonna put that down through there and bend the pins out a little bit. There, not many things left. Then we have this fuse, PPTC poly switch. So that goes up here. It says fuse up here, so very. That doesn't go in very far. You can kind of bend the legs out. If you have pliers like this, you can kind of make them more straight, and that will help you get it in. But you have to be rather careful to do that so that you don't break them. But that way you can get the fuse further down into the board like that. It doesn't really matter, but yeah. So there is that. So let's turn around, solder that in place. Only 3 components left. Actually 2 components and a connection. So the big beefy coil here is the one that is marked L2 down here, and it's 1000 microhenries. And that goes down there, and you can kind of put that in there and pull the leads out. And the smaller one, that's 220 microhenries, and that goes in, that's L1. It says it on the board. And then we have this connector, which is for mounting the cables going out of the battery desulfator. That goes here. Okay, so now we're done mounting all the components, and it kind of looks like this. Oh, I haven't cut off the last little leads on the back here. If you have some glue, it would be a good idea to put something on this, some hot snot or some, use a glue gun and glue this on there so that it's not able to be wobbly like this. It will work, but yeah, it might get damaged and this might come off. If you have it, do it. But we're ready to put on some leads here, some wires out of here. These are not included in the kit. I found that I have some really nice red and black wires here that I was gonna be putting in this video. I even got so far as to cut the pieces. These are 6mm square, and they don't fit. So I have to go find some smaller ones. This one will fit. This one, which is kind of a 2.5, would probably also fit. but I'm just gonna be very cheap and I'm gonna steal the two that I've already done, because I've already put crocodile leads on them. That is also not included. You might want to put something else on there. Crocodile leads, you can buy these. They are not expensive at all. You can also buy eyes like this. This is way too beefy. This is more like what you could expect to use. Could even put some big clamps on there for car batteries, but these wires would be way too big. I'm gonna unscrew these and we're gonna screw them onto the new one. I'm gonna shorten these. That's actually a bit important. The shorter wires you have, the better a connection. What the desulfator does, it takes a little power from the battery, it kicks it up to a higher voltage and it pumps it back into the battery. So it's like poking the battery. And it does this several thousand times every second. I think about 3,000 times a second actually. So let's get this out of the way for a second. And here comes a car battery. This could be a car battery that needed some work. And for permanently mounting on a battery like this, small eyes like this would have worked really well. These crocodile leads will go on there. These are not the best, but they will do the job and get a good connection. So I can kind of measure how long they have to be, and I want to shorten them down a little bit. So on the desulfator here, this bottom one, when we're looking at it, when everything is looking right, my PlayHouse, desulfator kit 1.0, you might have 1.1 because this is the first test one. Plus is the bottom one and minus is the top one. There is a ever so small minus and plus on the circuit board that you can see. So we're gonna set that here, and I'm gonna see how long does the cables need to be. And I can see I can shorten quite a bit of that and still reach there. So let's do that. Let's get this cable shorter, and we can take the negative lead and we can kind of do the same thing. This is a stiff wire, so those two wires are actually not alike, so we can get quite a lot of those cables, and that matters. Shorter cables is good. So let's put the plus in here and tighten that down. And the minus, I think that is ever so slightly too long. Yeah, just gonna shorten that by a hair. There. And now we're ready to desulfate. Actually, it goes on this way. Plus is over here, minus is over here. So let's connect this and see if it blows up. I sure hope not. So now it's on here, but it's actually a little bit difficult to know if anything is happening on it. Sometimes you can hear it buzzing at this is designed to run at about 3 kilohertz, and you can kind of hear that. I have cheated and I have mounted an oscilloscope to it. This is just to see that it is doing something. Those spikes that comes up and down, that's the desulfator poking at the battery and helping the battery to remove the crystallizing inside of the battery. This is a gel battery. It's not the best battery for this. This should work best with flooded batteries. Should work a little bit on gel batteries as well. So if you want to pick up your own kit, I'm sure I'll leave the links in the description of this video. Yeah, and there's a disclaimer. I don't guarantee that this works, and I don't guarantee that it's not gonna be dangerous. I don't see why, but I have to say that there is a lot of stupid people out there. So yeah, it's all your fault. If you don't have an oscilloscope, there is actually the possibility of using your phone to see that it's doing something. You can see this is it's an audio program. What was the name of this? Visual audio, it's called, this one. And you can kind of, if I whistle, you can kind of see it really clearly. so I whistled there. But if we put the microphone down to it, we will get something at about 3 kilohertz, but I have to be quiet. There, that line, it's not meant to make any sound, but you can kind of see that the phone picks it up anyway. So yeah, there is that. That will work too. I have mounted the other one. This one was the one we just built. This one was the one that I had already done. And this one is ever so slightly louder. So I'm gonna stick the microphone in here and let's... I have no idea if the microphone picks it up. I can hear this with my ear kind of easy. I can kind of also hear this one. If you're not as old as me and already has a weird ringing for your ears, you might hear it just fine. It's a 3 kilohertz sound. Well, I might just add that whatever I make from this, I'm gonna be putting right into getting myself a new server. I would like to get a server that is actually brand new and that is still on the market and stuff. And I thought that maybe selling this horrific overpriced product, links in the description, might just get me there. So and again, this video was sponsored by JCL PCB, where you can make your own PCBs if you have your own awesome project that you want to do. And I figured it out in about a day, so if you want to do that, you can go watch my video on doing that. And thank you very much to JCL PCB for also helping me get that server. So yeah, thank you very much for watching my videos. Do subscribe to my channel so that you can see me again, and have a really nice day. Oh yeah, we're gonna make another video where we test this out on the oscilloscope, compare it to some other ones, and yeah, that's to come.